Redneck thinks it's funny to yank out mailboxes. My dad makes him pay. Disclaimer, this happened a long time ago, but still makes me giggle to this day. So way back at the end of our nearly 1/k in the day, mid-90s or so, my family lived in a log cabin on 10 acres of land in a rural area 10 minutes or so out of town. It wasn't totally the sticks, but you could definitely hear banjo music in the background sometimes. The mile-long driveway was one of those roads that was also technically a state highway. In the AM I'd trudge down to wait for the bus. When I got home I'd grab the mail and carry it back. Until one Monday morning, when I went out and noticed the mailbox was gone. On closer inspection looked like it had just been ripped out of the ground. Dad was obviously not pleased. He went to talk with the county sheriff who happened to live a mile down the road. Turns out it had been happening up and down the road for months. Someone was tossing a chain of mailboxes and yanking them out with their vehicle. He suspected a guy down the road with his great big lifted 4WD truck, but couldn't prove anything. Usually happened on Sat and Sun nights with people finding out in the morning. Also seems the nicer the mailbox the bigger a target, and many had been hit multiple times. People had tried digging deeper, using more durable wood, etc. The guy just took it as a challenge and ripped them out again. Soft sandy ground and his truck was a monster. Well, Dad said challenge fucking accepted. A bit about my father. He's a steel worker with an engineering background and graduate degree. Built like a bear with 4 arms the size of my freaking legs. Most people looking at him would never think this monster of man is also brilliant, but he is. The calm cool type that almost never loses his temper. But wrong him, and God help you. So Dad goes to Lowe's and buys the fanciest prettiest mailbox they sell. He then proceeds to install it on top of an 8 feet long cylinder of 3-inch diameter hardened tool steel. But he wasn't done there. After digging down with post holers and dropping it in, he then filled it in with quickset concrete. To really sell it, he then used some strips of 1/2 inch wood to cover the steel core of his now indestructible mailbox of doom. Primed and painted them, so it looked like a standard 4-inch post. And even had my mom decorated with flowers and such. He wanted it to be as tempting of a target as possible. Didn't even take a week. I went out for school in the morning and found the mailbox right where it should be. Attached to it was 30 feet of chain and an entire hitch assembly. Ripped right off the truck's frame, sheared the bolts. It was marvelous to behold. Sheriff gets called over, dies laughing when he sees it. He went to the house of the guy that was suspected and sure enough verified the damage to his truck matched. Fun fact, fucking with a mailbox is a federal crime. As in you go to federal prison, not those cushy state places. Dad was unofficially rewarded by the sheriff's dep with a few cases of beer and some venison. And after that every deputy in town would flash him a thumbs up whenever they saw him. TL, doctor, guy was pulling out mailboxes with a chain attached to his truck. Dad makes invincible mailbox. Guy goes to federal prison. Edit. Apparently vandalism to mailboxes is far more common than I thought, and other people have taken similar measures. I guess great minds think alike. Roommate thought she was sneaky. Ended up owing me $400 and got suspended. This is a long one, TLDR is below. So, this happened my second semester doming at my college campus. I had met my roommate at orientation and could kind of already tell she was going to be a pain in my ass. And I was right about that. I had planned on moving rooms to be closer to some friends the next semester. But, let me get to the story that led to my revenge. On our campus you had to pay for meals using your student ID which had a certain amount of money on it each semester. You could also use an app that you put your name and ID info into, and it makes it easier to pay. But, the name and ID must match for it to work, which will be important later. Any funds from the full semester would roll over into the spring. But, then at the end of spring it would just expire. Because of this, and because I only ate once or 2 a day, I had a ton saved up on my card. My roommate on the other hand, did not. So, I offered to pay for some of her meals from time to time in trade of her picking up the food for us. Which involved her using my card twice in person, and then she'd return it. Then, one day, I noticed on my app that my card was being charged, even when I was not ordering food. And not just a meal, like a meal for several people. This meant that whoever was ordering, I wonder who, either had to have stolen my ID card, which I had in my pocket when I got the charge, or was impersonating my info in the app, which are both bananas on my campus. I was quick to put 2 and 2 together, and was pretty pissed. I was initially going to confront her on it, but decided to formulate a plan instead. That day I went and ordered a second ID card for $25 to use for later, as it took a couple of weeks to get the new one. I let her charge several things to my card over a good 2 weeks. For her and her friends. And she wasn't very good at hiding it either, as they would come to our dorm and eat, while I just screenshot and sent emails to the support team of the app about the charges, knowing nothing would get done until I contacted someone in person. And one day it got even better, as you can buy groceries with the card off campus as well. She decided to pay for alcohol with my card, which doesn't get pinged as an issue on my card due to me being over 21, but she was only 19. Not sure how she got it, but it was just the thing to finally act on my plan. I put my best sad face on and contacted the head of campus living and head of my dorm about the charges on my account. I dropped some hints that it could be my roommate and mentioned I got a new ID and asked what I should do. I was told to order a new card, and once I got it, to deactivate my current ID and use the new one for purchases now, making my old ID have a balance of $0 and also to ping if someone uses it to buy anything. They also told me they would be visiting my dorm to discuss the issue with my roommate. I accepted that and waited. They sent the confirmation email that they would be visiting, and I just decided to add more fuel to the fire. My roommate was groaning about not having the funds for food in front of me in our dorm. I told her I really couldn't help her as I was running low on funds, and she kind of just laughed it off and left the room to probably go use my old ID. I deactivated my first card right after she left, and surprise surprise, she used my info to pay. Except when she tried to pay for her and her friends this time, it was declined, and it pinged that my ID was used. Campus security was called, and she was escorted back to our dorm. Pretty much perfect timing for our meeting with campus living. She was scared shitless when they came to the dorm to talk and look through her stuff. On her phone, still logged into the app, was my ID information and name. And in her dorm closet was a half-full bottle of cheap vodka. And on my phone was a screenshot of said unauthorized vodka purchase. In the end, she was forced to pay me back all the funds she used in cash, reported for underage drinking, which automatically suspends you from campus living for at least a year, and would have on her record that she performed identity theft, which I also could have charged her for out of school. In the end, I got to have my own dorm for the remainder of that semester and even part of the semester after, because it wasn't put as an available room for new dormers. I did get all my money back from her parents, who were so embarrassed and apologized profusely. And when she did eventually come back to campus, no one wanted to dorm with her because they knew she had stolen her roommate's ID. I think in the end she rented off campus. TLDR, dorm roommate thought she could get away with identity theft, but got busted for stealing and alcohol possession.